BBC News with Sue Montgomery. Turnout in Hong Kong's Legislative Council election has officially been announced as the lowest in the territory's history. The Electoral Affairs Committee put the figure at 30.2%. All candidates in the poll were approved by Beijing. The pro-democracy campaigner Nathan Law, who now lives in Britain, said the low turnout showed that voters in Hong Kong had no faith in the new election system.
If you compare to 2016 legislative election, it was 43.6, and 2019 district council election, it was 63.6. So the difference is drastic, and it really shows that the people, they clearly understand this is a rigged election. They don't want to lend any legitimacy to it, so they decided to boycott it.
Despite the low participation rate, China's state-run news agency Xinhua said the turnout showed people's faith in the new system. There are reports that a number of Sudanese protesters were injured when the security forces moved to clear them from the streets of Khartoum. Large crowds had remained on the streets after dark to demand that the military end its involvement in politics. Last month, the Prime Minister, Abdullah Hamdok, was reinstated following a coup in October, but many Sudanese criticised him for agreeing to work with the military. More from Emmanuel Igunza.
There were hundreds of thousands of people who were out in the streets today. They simply want civilian rule. They do not want the military to be in power at the moment. They do not trust the Prime Minister. They do not trust his government. They see him as a puppet, and they simply won't stop until they get civilian rule.
There's been a sharp deterioration in relations between the White House and a Democrat senator who's crucial to getting President Biden's multi-billion-dollar investment bill through Congress. Senator Joe Manchin told Fox News he could not back the administration's flagship legislation. He said he was concerned about the effect on national debt and inflation.
When you have these things coming at you the way they are right now, I've always said this: if I can't go home and explain it to the people of West Virginia, I can't vote for it. And I cannot vote to continue with this piece of legislation. I just can't.
The White House called Mr. Manchin's comments a sudden and inexplicable reversal. Polling stations are closing in Chile's presidential election, where voters have been choosing between a left-wing former student activist and a far-right lawyer who has been likened to Donald Trump. Chile has suffered violent protests over the past 2 years, sparked by extreme social inequality. The left-winger Gabriel Boric is demanding radical reform. His opponent, José Antonio Cast, has stressed the need for stability. BBC News. The Organisation of Islamic Cooperation has agreed to create a humanitarian trust fund for Afghanistan, where millions of people are facing possible starvation. At a meeting in Islamabad, Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan urged the United States to stop linking the Taliban government with the Afghan people. Billions of dollars in financial support for Afghanistan was frozen when the Taliban took power in August. Demonstrations have been held in towns and cities across Poland to urge President Andrzej Duda to veto a controversial bill that both the US and the European Union say would restrict media freedom. The legislation was unexpectedly passed by Parliament on Friday. The bill tightens the rules on foreign ownership of the media in Poland. The British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss is to become the UK's lead negotiator with the EU in post-Brexit talks. She will continue to run the Foreign Office alongside her new role, leading negotiations on the protocol that governs trade over the EU border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. Her appointment follows the resignation of the Brexit Minister David Frost. Here's Damien Grammaticus.
Boris Johnson has moved very fast to replace Lord Frost, I think to quell some of the disquiet that had arisen in his party after all of the strains of the last couple of weeks about this resignation, and move someone into the role. What I think will be interesting, though, is how she handles the relationship with Brussels. As Foreign Secretary, she's much more aware, I think, of broader relationship with EU countries. That's part of her remit than Lord Frost needed to be. So will she be as competitive? How will she approach it?
In a first for a Gulf state, the United Arab Emirates is to stop routinely editing adult content from films and cinemas. Instead, it will introduce a new 21-plus age rating, under which international versions of movies can be shown to older audiences. BBC News.